Hello you beautiful misfits, my name is Matt and this is Pixel Burn, where I take a snarky look at some of the more important, interesting or irritating things to have happened in recent gaming news. Starting this week with the leak of what is supposedly footage from an unannounced open world Harry Potter RPG currently in development, courtesy of Reddit user VapeThisBro. According to Mr. or Mrs. or Miss VapeThisBro, they were meandering around their local mall one day, as you do, when they were approached by someone who asked if they'd like to watch a demo for an upcoming game and answer a few survey questions. Now, instead of cynically assuming this stranger wanted to drug them, steal one of their kidneys and leave them to wake up in a bathtub full of ice, VapeThisBro accepted their invitation and, so they claim, found themselves watching this footage here. Obviously. Otherwise their subsequent Reddit post would have been titled, "A stranger invited me to see an unreleased video game then stole one of my kidneys. Ask me anything." Look, is it just me who would be suspicious of a stranger waltzing up to me at a shopping centre and offering to show me a never before seen video game? Really? Just me? Okay, fine, I admit it, I have trust issues. Losing a kidney will do that to you. Anyway, it wasn't this exact footage, this is a recording of it that VapeThisBro made using their own phone, in flagrant defiance of numerous signs forbidding phones and cameras. Also, according to VapeThisBro, none of the people running this little public focus group session either bothered to check or tried to stop anyone from recording. Nor did any of them stop VapeThisBro from transcribing some of the marketing materials that had conveniently been left lying around. According to said marketing materials transcribed by our intrepid Redditor, this as yet untitled Harry Potter game is a third-person open-world action RPG, set at the Hogwarts School of Physical and Psychological Trauma to Young Children during the 1800s. You, the hypothetical player of this unconfirmed game, step into the wand-wielding shoes of a newly arrived 50-year student with a latent gift for magic and a unique ability to track and identify remnants of a potent ancient power. Plot devicium Radarius. Almost immediately upon the arrival of your witchy or wizardy totally original character, some weird shit starts going down in the forest full of fucking spiders, as well as within the juvenile tormenting confines of Hogwarts itself, causing you to team up with a Hogwarts professor to find out what's going on and, possibly, battle some dark wizards. In between doing all the other stuff kids do at Hogwarts, like brewing potions, learning spells, and generally trying not to die. You'll also apparently get to choose which Hogwarts house you join, because the Sorting Hat can suck it, which fellow students become your friends, and whether you ultimately become a good wizard or an evil one. Allegedly, this all could still turn out to be a whopping great hoax. Albeit a hoax so elaborate and well crafted that... Shit, if this was made by a tiny team on a shoestring, I'd love to see what they do with an actual budget. Assuming it's real, of course. This copyright claim by Warner Brothers on the aforementioned illicit footage could suggest that, but they would have done the same if it was a hoax, so it doesn't really prove anything. Besides, the footage itself is compelling enough evidence, although I am somewhat suspicious with how it was revealed to the wider world. Anyone setting up shop in a mall and soliciting people to see a video game, especially one based on a franchise as humongous as Harry Potter, is begging for it to be leaked. But that assumes this is a genuine leak and not a leak with enormous neon quotation marks around it. Now, I'm not accusing VapeThisBro of being some astroturfer or sock puppet. I'm happy to believe they are a regular person who was chilling at the mall one day, got invited to see a new Harry Potter game, and then sneakily nabbed some footage and marketing material transcriptions for us all to pore over. I'm merely saying that Warner Brothers, or whatever firm they hired to run this little focus group, probably anticipated somebody would do exactly that. They might even have been banking on it. Why? To build hype, of course. As if that would be in any way difficult. The concept sells itself. Harry Potter, RPG where you make your own character. The only thing that could possibly get Potter fans more excited than that would be, I don't know, promise of a hand job from Dobby the Elf. As for me, well, the extent of my involvement with the franchise is I casually watched the movies and thought they were alright. I quite like that bit in the third, or fourth one, when those lads from Durmstrang did their stompy fire dance, because the headmaster reminded me a bit of Milan Frost from Leibach. I slide right here. I personally found Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them more enjoyable, although the 1920s setting probably had something to do with that. I also once, in a moment of brief yet profound boredom, signed up to Pottermore to do that What is Your Patronus quiz. I went into it hoping to get something awesome and cool, like a dragon for example, or a hydra, or Star Platinum, only for it to tell me my Patronus was a dog. A dog! How are you supposed to fend off a Dementor with this? However, even with all that evidence of my general Harry Potter ambivalence laid out on the table for you all, I have to say I'm pretty intrigued by this game. Assuming it's real. The Harry Potter license on its own wouldn't be enough to get me interested, but a Harry Potter action RPG in the vein of something like Dragon Age Origins? That piques my interest. Imagine if your origin story changed depending on which house you picked at the start, or the NPCs you could make friends with were fleshed out in a similar way to your companions in that or any other classic BioWare RPG. Something like Mass Effect, with owls and wands, but without the shagging. No, your erotic fanfiction doesn't count.
Report to the ship as soon as possible. We're paying okay?
It wouldn't be an immediate day one purchase for me, but if it wound up being of a similar calibre to RPGs like that, then sure. I'd be down for getting tanked up on butterbeers, sneaking around Hogwarts after 10 PM and zapping random objects with Gundam Wing Leviosa, or whatever that spell's called. Although before I did any of that, I would first have to get over my surprise at the game, if it's real of course, even, well, existing in the first place. Particularly a game not based directly on any of the books, or even the new Fantastic Beasts movies, but set in its own uncharted period of Wizarding World history, because J.K. Rowling herself has been pretty strict about that sort of thing in the past, almost to the point of control freakery. Anyway, to keep a long segment from going on even longer, don't be surprised if there's a Harry Potter RPG announced in the not too distant future. Actually no, scratch that. Do be surprised, or pretend to be. Let Warner Brothers' PR department actually work for their money. Speaking of money, the financial woes of Telltale Games, of The Walking Dead and Tales from the Borderlands fame, re-emerged this week with news that their remaining skeleton crew of 25 staff have now all been thrown to the fickle economic winds of the job market. For those of you who may still be unaware, in the last week of September, Telltale Games began what is called a majority studio closure, by laying off over 200 staff without severance pay and cancelling all future projects. Among those projects were a second season of The Wolf Among Us and a game based on the Netflix series Stranger Things that Netflix are supposedly now shopping around to other developers. The previously mentioned skeleton crew of 25 staff meanwhile had ostensibly been retained to finish up the 4-episode final season of The Walking Dead, which, according to Telltale's management at the time, was still on course to be released in full. That is until 2 days after that very same announcement, when Telltale pulled the first 2 episodes of The Walking Dead the final season from sale. Between that first round of layoffs and this week's finishing blow, a former Telltale employee filed the class action lawsuit against the developer on behalf of himself and his 274 former colleagues. This suit alleges that the sudden mass layoffs violated California's WARN Act, which states that all employers must give employees 60 days notice of any termination. The damages being sought in this filing are the sum of all the former employees' unpaid wages, salary, commissions, bonuses, accrued holiday pay, accrued vacation pay, pension and 401k contributions, as well as other Employee Retirement Income Security Act benefits for that 60-day period. Related to this are various sources and reports that Telltale was still hiring new staff right up until the announcement of layoffs. The result being that at least one new employee, having moved all the way across the US, suddenly found they didn't have a job. An especially shitty thing to do on Telltale's part, given they were based in San Rafael, California, where the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is a smidge over $2,500 a month. Or your regional equivalent. One silver lining in all this gloom is the outpouring of support, and more importantly the possibility of a job, from the likes of Ubisoft, Bethesda, Naughty Dog, Firaxis, Valve and others, encouraging former Telltale employees to apply for positions with them. Even non-video game companies like Wizards of the Coast were taking part. It wasn't all thoughts and prayers online flim-flam either. Insomniac Games, EA, Riot Games and 2K Games were among some of the potential employers that physically attended an impromptu jobs fair held on a roof of Telltale's offices. So, fingers crossed all 275 former Telltale employees, be they long-term or recent cross-country arrivals, find themselves new jobs with other developers very quickly. Meanwhile, according to sources inside Telltale itself, speaking to Kotaku, the company was reportedly looking to pass off episodes 3 and 4 of The Walking Dead the final season to a separate company, with the understanding that they would hire former Telltale employees as contractors to finish the game. This hypothetical rescuer would be the ones writing the paychecks, and it would ultimately be their name at the beginning of those final 2 episodes. These sources went on to say episode 3 was pretty much done, requiring only about 2 weeks of polish before it could be sent off for certification. Episode 4 meanwhile supposedly has a written script and preliminary voice work done on it, and the first playable version was planned for the end of September, with an eventual release date of December 18th. Fortunately, as of this weekend, it seems the one who'll be ensuring episodes 3 and 4 get to see the light of day is none other than Robert Kirkman himself, writer and creator of the Walking Dead comics. Kirkman broke the news to attendees at New York Comic Con that Skybound Games, a division of Skybound Entertainment that Kirkman co-founded in 2010, will be taking over development on the rest of the season. So, great news for fans of Clementine, right? Well, I wouldn't bust out the champagne and party poppers just yet. Although they've worked with Telltale ever since Lee first escaped from that police car in the woods, Skybound have never used in-house developers on their games before. According to a spokesperson, they are looking to work with members of the original Telltale development team to finish the story, but nothing has yet been finalised on that front. And the longer it takes to get it finalised, the less chance there will be any former Telltale employees left to hire, because they'll hopefully have found new, fulfilling jobs elsewhere in the industry, and not because they've been hospitalised for malnutrition because they weren't given the severance pay they're owed. I was going to end this segment with my own thoughts about where things went wrong for Telltale, but that wouldn't be especially helpful or productive to the 275 people they left in the lurch without health insurance or severance pay. So let's move on. Our third and final bit of news for this episode is Capcom proudly announced this week that a live-action Hollywood movie adaptation of Mega Man is in the works. What? Fine, I'll try and think of something to say about this. Well, give me a minute. In all fairness, the recently released Mega Man 11 is getting some good reviews, with some even hailing it as a return to form for the series, something nobody has ever said about Mighty No. 9.
Make the bad guys cry like an anime fan on prom night.
But a movie? Really? A live-action movie at that? Even if it is being written and directed by Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman, who directed Catfish and Paranormal Activity 4, and it's being produced by Churnin Entertainment, who did the recent Planet of the Apes movies, along with Masaoka, who played Hero in Heroes. I suppose you could stretch the premise of Mega Man to fit the classic hero's journey or Blake Snyder formula so currently beloved of Hollywood execs, but you'd have to stretch it a lot. Some bits are covered easily enough. Dr. Light is the wise old mentor, and Dr. Wily's robot-related mischief is the obvious call to adventure. Sorted, no problem. Everything after the start of a game of Mega Man, however, is straight up road of trials though, right? And how would you shoehorn Woman as Temptress, Joseph Campbell's words, not mine, into a story where the protagonist is a robot boy with a laser cannon arm, without making it look shoehorned? Does Mega Man even have the capacity to be tempted by anything, besides the urge to jump face first into the top half of a door? And cigarettes?
I don't want a friend like me.
This announcement heralds the latest of several recent-ish video game to movie adaptations supposedly in the pipeline. One being a Sonic the Hedgehog live-action CGI hybrid which has Jim Carrey signed on to play Dr. Robotnik, another being a movie adaptation of the Monster Hunter series starring Mila Jovovich. And I am as excited by the prospect of all those movies as I am by going to bed early on a Sunday night. Maybe Mega Man the movie will be tolerable? Who knows? Someone else will have to buy a cinema ticket to confirm that. In the meantime, I'll be waiting for Season 2 of Castlevania and to see how that Alan Wake TV series turns out, because I'm far more optimistic for game-to-TV adaptations right now than I am for game-to-movie ones. I remember the 90s.
Super Mario Brothers. This ain't no game.
That's all for this episode of Pixel Burn. If you liked it, then please do let me know by smashing that like and subscribe button. And let your friends, your family, and J.K. Rowling know as well. At the very least, I hope you found it tolerable. If you found it significantly more than tolerable, however, you might consider joining some of the officially lovely misfits that help support the channel on Patreon. Lovely misfits like Silvershot, Mithun Manivanan, and Wesley Zeke Laughlin here. Meanwhile, until next time, as always, you can go now.